gaining experience is important versus just get strong for the comp. So you see a lot of people that are kind of in the boat of, oh, I'm going to get my deadlift to X amount, my overhead to X amount, and then I'm going to look to compete, and I'm going to get to those base level numbers before I start pushing my competing. Whereas you see the other boat of people who are just competing all the time, and they're kind of they're competing 1 week and then they're having a few days off and they're saying how wrecked they are after the comp, and then they're having a deload week into this comp that doesn't really mean anything. It's just a practice comp for them in the grand scheme of things. So which of these is right? I think somewhere in the middle, but you've got to get your mindset right for this. So I like the idea of having, like, say, a big goal in, say, the medium to long term. So this might be like, say, 6 to 12 months, like it might be like, say, a qualifying comp. It could be a national comp. It could be an international comp. The thing that you want to peak for, let's say. And then everything else could be built like it. If you're relatively new to the sport and you're just thinking, right, well, I just want to get as strong as I can for the qualifiers next year. You see so many people who put so much brilliant training in, and they get the gym lifts up and they're looking really strong on social media, and then they get into that comp scenario and they just melt, or they just, let's say, you see it on social media, underperformed, which personally I don't, but this beyond this kind of chat, but I don't believe in underperforming. Like you in my opinion, you do exactly as you should do, like whether that be you don't do well or you do well, like you do exactly as you deserve. So I think these guys are missing out on the kind of the experience development of this thing of actually being an athlete and doing it as a sport. But you don't want to be doing it all the time, because it's going to affect you getting a good training cycle in. So I want you to imagine like this like a periodization, and let's say we've got a big comp 9 months away. And that's what your training blocks can be building towards, and that can be the main goal. And these kind of like dates where you can kind of you can almost look at these other comps that fit in, and I would be selective about these other comps that you do for fun. If you do want them to just gain experience and just have fun, look, take them for what they are. I suppose I'm an expert at this because I'm somebody that over the last I went through about an 18-month period, like I can't remember how many times I competed, but like it's a seemingly ridiculous amount on paper. And people are like, oh, well, how are you not gonna burn out, or like how are you able to do it? Your recovery is this, you whatever. But the key was the fact that I got my mindset right. I had my big goals, the things that mattered in the distance, that like anything that happened at these kind of mini comps or training days, if you will. I just saw them as training days, and anything that happened at these just didn't really matter in the grand scheme of things. It was all about building towards a big comp. So what I was doing was just kind of turning up to these comps and just seeing them like a training day. And in terms of pressure, I was making sure that, right, well, if I feel like I'm getting a bit of a niggle or something doesn't feel quite right, I'd just always pull back, and I'd always be going at, like, even though it seemed like sometimes I'd be going like 10 out of 10 every time, like realistically I am putting the brakes on. Because realistically, if I'm that was my condition of like competing all the time to gain this invaluable experience, was the fact that I said to myself, right, you can enter this comp on Saturday, throw yourself in, because you're going to get really good experience. You've never done that kind of log before. You haven't done this kind of deadlift in a comp. This has got a nice medley in it that you haven't got much experience in, and a good stone run. Let's go and experience some other stones or whatever. So I can do that so long as that I can train on Monday, and I can go and do my training session on Monday, and on Tuesday that I'm going to be doing my overhead session and my usual split, and that can seamlessly go into the next week. So because that's the most important thing in terms of like the whole holistic physiological development. So the only way that I could do that was getting the mindset right, and then when it has come to the big comps, and don't get me wrong, like there's been some poor performances in there, but most of the time I would actually say from someone who used to get nervous. I remember when I used to play football. I played hundreds and hundreds of football matches, and every time I walked on the pitch I'd just be getting nervous and getting butterflies and stuff. So I knew, but through exposure of years and years and years and years of doing it, I got better at dealing with this. So when I started Strongman at first and competing, I was like, oh my God, I'm only competing. If I have a rubbish day today, I can't just wait till next Saturday and put it right like I do with football. Like I've not got a comp for another 5 weeks. I'm gonna feel rubbish, and I did feel the pressure of, oh well, I've got this kind of, the whistle goes, I've got 60 seconds. Like, what if I make a mistake, and what if the situation isn't right? What if the floor's wonky? Like. So the only way to deal with to get better from that has been by exposure and throwing myself in there. And now I would say that I just feel like I'm so cool, composed. I can't remember ever negatively being affected by any external factors other than like being able to focus on myself. Like, even like say competing internationally, competing at national comps and stuff, like I've never kind of succumbed to like a mess up because of pressure. It's always been because I've not been strong enough, which is quite refreshing in a way. It's disappointing when it happens because you do something not quite as good as you anticipated, but it's always because like, oh well, I'm not strong enough. Like, it's not because of any other factor, because I've gained all this kind of invaluable experience. Like, another great example is when you go to a comp, which is a big part of Strongman, like, and the events change on a day, or the type of deadlift, the type of bar changes on the day, or the farmers changes to something else or whatever. And whenever this happens, like, I love it. Like, secretly I hate it because I'm because I'm so articulate with my preparation for the comps. But realistically, like, I think, right, well, that significantly increased my chance of getting more points than the other people, because most people, or a lot of people, there's a negative reaction as soon as somebody's like, the comps changed or whatever, or they've changed it on the day. Whereas me, like, I just feel like I'm kind of prepared for anything. Or like they make an event up on the day, like, great, let's go for it. Like, I just feel like that element of preparedness is something that I've, and the feeling of preparedness, even for something that's unexpected, is something that I've developed by this constant exposure. But just reminding to what I've just said before, it's so important that you can't just be going 10 out of 10 into every comp, like head first into every comp, because your body's not going to be able to keep up, or you're just going to be piling too much pressure on you in terms of mind. So the last little thing that I'll say on this topic is just getting your expectations right for the events. Like, just don't if you're doing these training comps, don't worry so much about placing. Think more about the process, and think about, like, right, can I go and hit it doesn't matter what person X, Y, and Z are doing, I'm going to hit this. Last time I did log at that weight, I did 4 reps. So today I'm going to try, if I can get 5, I'm going to be winning. And the placing doesn't matter at all. Yeah. Whereas then when you come to your qualifying comp next year, I would actually say the complete opposite, personally. Assuming that you're training for performance and you're not just doing it to take part. Personally, I would say that you, like, my mindset at the comp is like the process doesn't matter. I'm here to get the result. It doesn't matter if I'm hitting below my PB on that. I'm doing whatever I can to maximise the points.